So we want to start by looking at one theorem here, and we want to investigate the angles subtended by the same arc at the circumference. So what does it mean by the same arc? Same arc here means this part here, right? So this is the arc that you're referring to. So this arc here is forming these two angles. And what we want to find is what is the relationship between these two angles. And to investigate that, I'm going to use an application here to show us really what happens. So if you look at this application here, I'm going to move around A and B. And what do you notice about angle A and angle B? They're both 67 degrees. How about if I change this arc? The angle changes. But what happens? Does angle A change as compared to angle B, or are they the same? Of course, we notice that these two angles are the same. So you can say that the angles subtended by the same arc at the circumference are equal. Okay? We can say the angles subtended by the same arc at the circumference are equal. And you can see that from here. So you can go ahead and say that the angles subtended, so the angles subtended by the same arc at the circumference are equal. Okay, so that's very important, which means if this angle is x, this angle will also be x. They are equal. If this is x degrees, that will be at x degrees as well. Alternatively, what you can do is, assuming we have a chord here, okay, if we have a chord here, let me just draw a proper chord, something like that. Suppose you have a chord there. What we'll have in this case is this will be minor segment, and this portion here will be a major segment. So we can go ahead and say that the angles in the same segment are equal, because you can see that these two angles x are in the major segment and they're equal. So you can say the angles in the same segment are equal. So we are going to apply this theorem to try and solve a few problems. So here are a few examples. Work out the size of the angles marked x and y. Now we can notice here that these two angles are in the same segment, right? These two angles here are in the same segment, and therefore they are equal. So you can just go ahead and say x is equal to 64 degrees because they are in the same segment. Or we know that angles in the same segment are equal. Okay? So x is 64 degrees. And again, in this case here, we can start by finding x. Now we know that angles on a straight line add up to 108 degrees. So you can say that x is equals to 180 minus 118, which will be 62 degrees. And if x is 62 degrees, y as well will be 62 degrees. Okay, so we can just go ahead and say that y will be 62 degrees as well. Okay,